They had gymnasts finger paint their own flags for fluff pieces for an entire quad, you guys. There was a 3'8" tall giant of a gymnast by Chunyue from China, and Al Troutwig couldn't shut up about it. But there was gym acro passes. The perfect 10 was theoretically still possible. And we had the giants of the pre-Sydney quad: Moceanu, Gojin, Radicon, Dancher, Maloney, Olaru, Presecan, Atler, Amanar. Welcome to a commission episode all about those 90s international team meets that we loved so much. Welcome to GymCastic, the number one gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. Spencer, this episode we have been looking forward to, especially since Club Gym Nerd member Casey basically gave us the most notes ever on this. So
Perfect.
Can you give us the brief?
Yes. Okay. This commission from Casey on the International Team Championships, those friendly meets between the United States, Romania, and China, and also Australia one year, that took place from 1997 to 2000. Please focus on the 1997 to 1999 women's meets. Casey says, as a small-town child gym nerd growing up in the Midwest without cable, these meets were vital to my experience with the Sydney Olympics because they offered a rare chance to see many future Olympians, get to know their gymnastics, and become a fan of theirs over multiple years. 3 members of the U.S. team and an alternate, Dancher, Maloney, Ray, and Beckerman. 3 of the Chinese, Lu Xuan, Ling Jie, and Huang Mandan. 5 of the 6 Romanians, all but Loredana Bobak, who competed in the junior meet in 1999. And 3 Australians went on to compete in Sydney. What we will see: pretty strong U.S. teams with many of the top available gymnasts and an occasional outlier. Pretty much the same with Romania. Probably not the best Chinese team. I don't remember ever seeing some of these gymnasts outside of these meets. Question for you both at the end: do you think a meet like this could be brought back? Excellent. I'm so excited.
Casey, this is so great. And also, thank you for giving us all the links and all of your notes. This is fantastic. If you, like Casey, want to commission an episode, Club Gym Nerd members help us pay our bills, go to things like Indonesia for the World Championships, and you get discounts on live shows, which are coming up. Live show is on December 14th. We're having a live show. This one's going to be virtual because that's the only way that we can make it work. But they're super fun. We play some games, there's some trivia, and then we do an interview, but you get to ask our special guest questions. Look for an email where you'll be able to buy those tickets directly there, because Club Gym members get first dibs, and you can also, of course, subscribe to our newsletter, so we make sure that you get that. You get stuff like an extra podcast every single week where you get to ask us questions and we answer. And during NCAA season, we pick a meet and then we watch it live together. Afterwards, we discuss as a family and get all of our feelings out. It's so fun. So if you would like a full commission, we're opening them right now because it's December and that's when we do that.
Whoa.
So yes, this only happens once a year because we can't do that many. So commissions are going to be back open. So if you want a commission, you can join the club, and you can join the club. You can also give it as a gift.
And if you join Club Gym Nerd at the very tip-top tier, you get a full commission.
So check it out at gymcastic.com under the Join the Club tab. It makes a great gift. All right. Let us set the scene for these 90s tri-meets.
I would love to. Okay.
And sometimes quads.
So these meets took place in the spring. They were team only. So there was no other stuff. None of that individual business nonsense. It was just, you're here. This is a team final, country to country clash. 6-5-4 format. So there were 6 gymnasts in each team. 5 people went up on each event. 4 scores counted. We don't really have this exactly happening in modern gymnastics, but are there kind of so for people who maybe didn't have a VHS recording of these meets and watched them like twice a week for their entire childhood, like some gym nerds did, are there like present day references you can give us?
Yeah. So present day, this would kind of be like Yeselo or the DTB Cup if they were hosted in the US and they were on a podium and they were in an arena and they were broadcast on network TV, which I guess in Italy for Yeselo it is, and DTB Cup I think is. But Yeah, so these were I mean, the way I look at these were, well, the Cold War is kind of over, but not really. So let's invite
Not in NBC's mind.
the commie
They love
countries.
the Cold War.
Let's invite the commie countries, but never Russia, because they would have beaten our asses to as
Maybe they were
as
invited and they
NBC.
were like, absolutely not.
Yeah, or maybe they weren't allowed to go, or I don't know.
Who knows?
But that basically they invited them, and there would be this sometimes. But then they added Australia at the end because yeah, and Australia, we'll talk all about that. So also this is the back in the day when Romania didn't use grips still. And until the very end of this quad, some did. And then the NBC commentary was solely focused on mistakes, shaming athletes, and giving credit mostly to the male coaches and constantly talking about coaches. And we are so, so grateful that NBC has changed and the wonderful women producing these broadcasts now do not focus on this thing. So I'm going to try not to just make this a rage of meter about how much it was. Can we just talk about that? Let's get this out of the way for a second.
It's so hard because it's like, I think both of us feel sometimes like it's so exhausting to listen to these old meets on NBC and it's so draining. And then all you can think about is like, well, that was an annoying thing to say. Well, why did they focus on that? Well, that was racist. Well, I'm mad about this. And then you forget all of the routines and you're like, I have no idea what this is. And so every time we're like, I really just want to focus on the gymnastics and listen to it. And then you do that for 5 seconds and you're like, nope, I can't. I'm too mad. Nope. Impossible.
I just wanted to yell at everybody and just be like, stop. I just, yeah, it made me like, it's just so sexist and awful. And I hated it. And it made me angry. And I was generally horrified. And it made me super pissed off. Hold on. We have to stop for 1 second. I'm pausing.
Over.
Pause for vanity. Okay. Oh, wait, shit. Now you're all weird again.
Well, why?
I know.
I don't understand.
I know, you were like so clear, and now I can just use your side, and then it should be fine. Stay on after. Okay. All right, let's talk about our overall impressions of just these meets. So it would be like a try meet. You could still hypothetically get a 10. You had to do 2 vaults, but they were averaged together. There were some, like, so just setting the scene generally, but yeah, tell me your overall impressions of this.
My overall impressions have nothing to do with that because we have to start by talking about the giant finger painting elephant in the room, which is all of the finger painting for some reason that is in these meets. Okay, so if you don't remember or have never seen them, they all start with like fluff piece intros about finger painting for some reason. Like 1999 was the prime year in the finger painting obsession because
literally all 3 years they start with finger painting.
I don't know why, but they have all of the gymnasts like finger painting their national flags just on like a big sheet of construction paper. Like this is a kindergarten art project because you know what every 16-year-old loves is finger painting. That's very famously the classic thing that 16-year-olds like to do. They're just like, I'm going to go get my driver's license and it's going to be so cool. And once I have my license, we're going to do so much finger painting. We're just going to go out and no parents and we're just going to finger paint like everywhere. You know, that's very famous. Like it's like a cliche at this point because, you know, that's what you want to see.
That's what I did. When I got my license on my 16th birthday, I finger painted with all my friends in a circle on the ground. We all with our feet in the air and we listened to 1950s hopscotch music. What's it called? Bobby Sock. Hop something with socks. Yeah, that's what we did.
Sock hops, yeah.
Sock hops,
so
thank you.
1999 was the insane one, but 1997 also has finger painting in the beginning with disembodied children's laughter, which is all like that is why? Because that's just a horror. That's straight up a horror movie. There's only one context in which you would hear disembodied children's laughter, and that's if you're in a murder house. And there's like a little Victorian ghost girl is about to appear in a nightgown made of wisps, and she's about to like lure you into a basement of spikes. That's the only only possible future that can happen if you hear disembodied children's laughter, and that's what we're starting from in 1997. At least in 1998, they got pens and paintbrushes.
They
when
did.
they're all sitting around the world map. But the funniest part about that one is, so they're sitting around the world map, and some actual professional in advance has like painted the US flag on the United States and painted the Chinese flag on China. The US athletes are around the US, the Chinese athletes are around China, and they didn't really anticipate that Romania is so small. There was no room for it, and there are only like 2 in front of Romania.
Yeah, there's like an empty continent on there.
The rest of the Romanian team is just like in front of Africa, randomly, absentmindedly signing it, and I don't know what that's about, but it made me laugh. They're just like, dear Botswana, keep on hanging in there, love Claudia Presecan. Like, it makes no sense, and I love everything about it.
It was so infantilizing, which is basically what
so
this
gross,
whole quad of NBC was known for. But also, like, can you imagine being like this age? Like, what would your first thought be if they had you do this? Would you the amount of eye rolling that must have gone on? Like, they must have been like, we're doing this again. Are you serious?
I feel like the Romanians and the Chinese must have been like, wait, what? Did American like teenagers do this? Is this something that's like culturally relevant? I was thinking, like, imagine if they asked Simone to do that. Like, imagine.
Oh my God, it would have been so
I actually wish it had happened because it would have been great.
She would have sprained her face.
Yeah, she would have sprayed her face and also been like, do you know who I am? No, I'm not doing that. You have to come up with another idea. And then they would have, because that is why we like how much power Simone has, because she can just say, this is stupid.
No.
And she's right. It
Exactly.
usually is stupid. Okay, but the thing that works about these competitions, I do think, is that it's just a single defined team competition that makes it kind of entertaining and exciting in a way that we don't really have now. Because I think so many times with meets right now, like the meets you cited, like Yesolo and the DTB Cup, is that they try to be like, the first day is the team final, but also qualification, and also there's no team final, but also there are team scores, and maybe there's an all-around final, and maybe there's not, and it's also qualification for event finals, and everything's just trying to be everything, and it's not just like a clear competition. So I think I do like it, and I wish we had that as an option on the calendar now, where it's just like, hey, you go to this, and it's a team competition. It's kind of like, I really like the World Challenge Cups, even though there are a lot of issues with them now, like accessibility of watching it, advertising, the fields aren't great always, but like, I think just having it defined, like, this is an event competition, and that's what this is, and that's all we're doing here, is really effective. So that's what I like about this the most. It's just like, yes, teams, let's go. Nation versus nation.
About this, that we knew it was going to be the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not have been at their best, but
it was early in the year. Yeah, it's a lot of very early in the year gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly. But we were going to see something. We were going to see Chinese bars and Chinese beam, and it was going to be amazing. And we were going to see like who's in the mix possibly for the US. And then you've had Romania, which you were just like, bars, we'll just forget about it. Except then we had, I can't wait to talk about I have a whole theory about Romania now based on watching these meets again. Okay, so let's start with 1997.
Mm-hmm. I think this is my favorite one, by the way.
Most iconic moments for you.
Me. But the most iconic moment, because I'm like, thinking about these meets before rewatching them for this commission, I was like, I don't really remember specifics. And then 1997, I was like, oh, that's the meet where Moceanu feeds that mouse to that snake. That is absolutely the most iconic part of this. So there's a Fluff piece about Moceanu that's mostly icky, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it ends with them being like, okay, but also she goes to a real school. And she's like, I do? Okay, I guess I do. And so they have Moceanu at like a high school, and they're in a science class, I guess. There's a snake there, and she has to feed this baby mouse to this snake, and she's holding it, and it's just wriggling, and it's horrifying, and she's scared, and the teacher's like, Dominique, that mouse doesn't want that snake doesn't want your hand, it just wants that mouse. And she's like, I don't want to do it. And then they cut away, and it's horrifying, and it's amazing. And I will that's one of those like flashes of a frame where I'm like, that is emblazoned in my mind forever. Like that mouse struggling in Dominique Moceanu's hand, I'm like, to my grave, I will remember that vividly, no mistakes.
The worst part about that was iconic for me was that I was like, oh, this is the one where that boy sees like a camera and is like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the boyfriend, and like puts his arm around her, and she's just like, you're so funny, Kevin. Like, get off of me, you dork. Like,
Yeah.
just because like just ugh. Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, but then we get
Yeah, she has to be like, oh, Kevin, you're so funny. And it's like, ugh.
and then they use that part.
I
Like,
know.
see, she's normal. No, she's like anything.
Well, she is normal because, like, that was a very normal reaction. She reacted
true.
exactly normally to that
But she
situation.
should
It's like,
never have had to put up with nonsense like that because she was a queen. What else?
Okay, this is also when Vanessa Atler is crowned the patron saint of the gymternet and invented blogging, which is also really important. One of my side interests, besides gymnastics, but definitely a top 5, is like depictions of the internet in mid-90s media.
Yes.
I love it so much. And the way they talk about Vanessa's website, like she has her own webpage where she keeps a diary. And I'm like, so she invented blogging. Good job, Vanessa. That's history. That's the history of technology. Vanessa Atler invented blogging. They tell us she gets about 2,000 hits a day on the internet. It's great. She has online diary fans. That's what they're called, online diary fans.
I love that too because if you weren't alive during this time, it was like before this we just had newsletters and you had to wait till the newsletter was like sent around to 20 different people, or there used to be these things where maybe at the flying squirrel newsletter or something like that, or it was just impossible to find anything. And so what she did was like revolutionary, and she like got in touch with her fans and kept that up. And now it's like so easy to do because the platforms are easy and people get to break their own news, and it's great that everyone has that. But at the time, it was a huge deal. And I bet 2,000 hits a day was big.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Gigantic. She was the first gymnast who took it upon herself to have a relationship directly with the gymnastics fans that wasn't filtered through the broadcast or a magazine or anything like that, which is now commonplace and has changed the sport a lot, almost entirely for the better, sometimes also some bad parts. But she was the first person to be like, actually, this is what I want to do.
The thing I loved about this meet was that Chen Mi presenting the case for the vault table by almost smashing her face / missing her hands both times on vault. For me, I was like, oh, this used to happen all the time, and it was terrifying. And I love that. I was like, oh yeah, you can see here why. And I swear, did her coach move the board on the second vault? I was trying, little, you know me, of course, I screenshotted where I could see the vault setting, but then I couldn't see the angle. But it was, it was very scary.
At the end, one of these meets, Tim was about to just like lose it with the hand placement on the vault. He was like, this is so dangerous. This is so dangerous. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
I don't want to watch this. This gives me flashbacks. Yeah. The one thing that it is totally iconic about this is an Elvie Schlegel, which there's a lot of things, that Elvie Schlegel said that I thought were demeaning and cruel, but she did say this thing that made me think about all the countries that complain. Like, so many countries are like, including the United States. Don't get me started on, oh, well, they changed the code because they're against the United States, or we're winning too much, so they're against us. This is like such a common refrain for U.S. coaches. And of the old school, I would say. I don't hear that so much now. But the thing that I love that Elvie Schlegel said was, the Chinese don't complain, they create. That's announcer shit. Like, that's what you're there for. Like, this is what Troutwig was always trying to do, but Elfie Schlegel did it in this moment. And it's so true. And, they would beat everyone's ass on bars, and along with Russia and Horkina. But, when they stayed on, they were the best, and they did unusual new things. And also, this is why you start as a fetus putting your arms in L grip. So, note, everyone.
Important life lessons.
Yes.
There's so much of this that's also just a tale as old as time, where it's just like, yes, that happened. That is a stereotype. And this is kind of either why it's a stereotype or reinforces it. Like, yes, that happened. Like Romania looking like a dump truck on bars. And then Elfie being like, these are bad routines. And it's like, yeah, Elfie's gonna Elfie, but sometimes she's right.
Yeah.
But they still win. Romania's like, yes, these bars are bad, and now we're going to still win the competition. And that's what happens in 1997. And I love when Tim is like, unbelievable. After Romania falls on bars, and I was like, it's not. It's the most believable thing that's ever, like, it's Romania on bars. It happens literally every time. They're still going to win. Also, speaking of tales as old as time with Romania, the Octavian Bellu Fluff piece about how everyone is against us.
Yes.
And I'm like, there are so many people who say that everyone is against them about Atlanta 96. Like Bellu saying it's Horkina's like favorite, it's like the title of her life story. Everyone is against me in Atlanta. It's like, how can they be against, like everyone be against both Romania and Russia the most? Like someone has to be against you more, but you're both claiming it's you the most.
That was especially what I thought about when Elfie said that. I was like, but look at China, who have just reinvented bars while you were complaining and saying everyone's against us and saying none of these gymnasts are ever going to make a team about everyone. Everyone there. We also, this whole thing about Gina Gojin doesn't want to be here, but also this is how she learned to lead. And like, I feel like this is the Bellu Horkina book of gaslighting. Like, this is what he says. Like, there was NBC saying, like, oh, she doesn't want to be here. She misses her friends. Like, she's like, ugh, these children. Why do I have to be there with them? But then also everything from Bellu being none of these athletes are going to make it. And I was like, oh, this is the school of coach by putting people down. And you guys are just playing into it. But also I feel like, oh, now we have modern Gina Gojin. And we know of everything that's going on in Romania, which is that, you know, she has had so many complaints against her and is once again in charge. And I'm like, oh, here we go. History repeats itself. Also, my other thing, he was like, oh, but God, what did he say? Something about like, but God intervened, or something about he invoked God is why we were able to do as well as we did in Atlanta. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. Medal. Yes, this is a tale as old as time. God definitely floating on a cloud.
The Romanian team. Yeah.
Right. Smoking a pipe, being like, yes, today the Boobity Boob Sports Ball team shall be the one. And there's all a plan to it. And yes, Romania shall win 3 medals in the all around. Everybody knows that. Okay.
Also, tale as old as time. Yeah. Vanessa Atler fell on a random soul circle on bars. Tale as old as time. China could have won, and then floor was just a disaster. Tale as old as time. That was It was. There was a lot of just like, yes, this is gymnastics. This is what happens.
And everybody blames, Casey mentioned this too, in her commission, is like how everyone is, or his commission, I'm not sure, but how everyone is mentioning how, like, you know, Atler, it's always that Komenich, that was the problem. And I was like, we had a soul circle of doom here that we could have blamed. Like, as you know, the soul circle, heck to the high bar, this could have been something. And, you know, lest we forget, there were many skills. And it still didn't matter because she was so freaking awesome. She could fall and like someone else tie for first place in nationals. That's how insane. Just watching this again, I was just like, oh my God, like Dancher was totally overlooked. Like she is so amazing and no one ever gave her the credit I feel like she deserved. And then I'm like,
until she made the Olympic team.
Right. Then
it was like suddenly in 2000 they were like, Jamie Dancher figured it out, and it was like she was always good.
Yeah, did you watch her in all these meets? Like, she's amazing, by the way, with her triple double dismount, which I also forgot about, which is one of my absolute highlights. It's a mess.
She did not do a triple double.
Oh, sorry, not triple double.
That's a double. It was a double.
Sorry,
I was going to say
double.
The Dancher,
I was getting really excited. I was like,
yeah, Dancher. It's a double tuck. It's wild. The form is crazy, but I kind of love it.
It's so
and then she
weird.
somehow sticks it. It's bizarre, strange, great gymnastics.
What were
that should be full of deductions, but like whatever.
Oh, so many deductions. Gymnastics.
My highlights, like Chinese bars, made everyone else look like a brand new idiot in all of these meets. It was just like, oh, you all suck, and this is how to do it. Like, and I did like that we shouted out. Lu Xuan was here and did not do the one-armed skills, but they did shout out her one-arm skills and how undervalued they were even though she didn't do them. Like, we have to pour one out for her one-armed ginger, which was magical, perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
And they wanted to it was another situation where the women's technical committee basically wanted to discourage people from doing one-arm skills. So they valued it at like 1 penny and an old walnut and just were like, no, this is nothing and we don't like it. And I think it's a shame.
And meanwhile,
if anyone can complain about being sabotaged or people being against them, Lu Xuan. This is what I'm saying.
Yes. And to that point, the countries who complain about the code is against them, oh, this is the head of the technical committee, they're from this country, so they're against everyone. They forget how often this has happened to many countries. Like, I think about, we complain about, like, Simone not getting the value for her, was
beam
her
dismount?
Yeah, double
the
dismount?
double tuck beam dismount that we thought should have been higher. Yeah,
and then I'm like, oh yeah, this totally happened to China like a million times. And then I also think, I'm like, oh, they're like outlawing as if it's a law. They're not allowing women to do the one arm skills on bars. Meanwhile, they're like, men, go ahead and rip all of your shoulder joints out. To this day, go ahead, it's totally fine with the one arm skills. Okay, Kulikowski's beam.
Yes, that was another one of the highlights that I kind of wasn't already primed in my head to talk about. Where we saw it, I was like, Teresa Kulikowski's gymnastics is lovely. I loved it.
She had we just never got to see her, and I feel like because she was, she was hurt a lot, and I think of when she went to Utah, and then it was just like every other day, like her shoulders are coming out of place, and she had such a nice, like, calm, slow quality on beam that was it stood out, especially when you have the Romanian, like, Chicken Little dance on beam the whole time, which is you see them do, which is like it's like they stick their chest out and suck it back in really quick. It's like a nervous response almost, and it's hideous. And I always think like, oh, this is like a coping mechanism they developed from how they were coached. They were like, oh, let me reset myself with this, like, arch. Or maybe because her back's all hurt. But I wanted to just mention this little thing that she does on bars that's so pretty. And it's just a little swing half turn over the low bar. But it's like she catches a release and then just swings as this perfect, beautiful form. And it's just so nice. And now you'd get like a deduction for that. You can't just be an empty, a half turn? Throw yourself off a cliff.
Just immediate fall. Yeah.
Right.
I know. There should be more acceptable ways to get facing a different direction in the current bars code. Just like, I need to be facing the other direction to do what I want to do now, and there should be more ways.
And this is an example of something that's really beautiful, and it doesn't look like nothing. And it's so well done, and I'm like, oh, I would love to see something that's pretty like that on bars, I want to mention Maloney here because lots of people were doing some kind of jump. Even I think Sierra Sapinar later just did like a stretch jump into a full twisting Corbett. But Maloney, her doing that wolf half, immediate wolf into the Corbett full swing down is just so nuts. And and then eventually, like by the time we get to 99, she was doing a full twisting wolf jump into the Corbett. And it's just so hard. And I remember the first time I saw her do this in person, which was at a Stanford meet when she was competing in college. Because of course she did it in college because she's Kristen Maloney. I literally screamed out loud. And I was like looking around like, what's wrong with all of you? Do you not see what just happened? I remember the whole team like looked up in the stands like, what just happened? But I was just like, oh my God, that was so good. It's just so impressive. And then also Jin Ying did it also in this meet when it was also spectacular. But she sort of did this weird thing where she like let go of one leg, like she was sort of wolfing with her hands to help, and one leg came down first and then the other, which you can do a wolf as a step down, but you're not going to get the same credit for going into the full twisting Corbett, which is a full twisting back dive, which is also called a
Rolfova.
Yes.
Erroneously, potentially.
Yes, because, everybody's great grandmother at this point was doing this in like the 70s and 80s. So, yeah. Just mentioning, I love that trend. Like beam was, I like beam now, besides the fact that like no one does any dance, but I liked beam a lot during this quad. Did you have any opportunities for comedy at this
Opportunities for
19 quad?
quantity. I have some opportunities for quabity. Okay. I know that this was just incidental at the end, but I had to laugh at the upload of this competition that ends with a Nicorette commercial for the not smoking gum. I was like, okay, so this meat is brought to you by Hershey's, Reese's, McDonald's, and Nicorette. Like chocolate Big Mac smoking.
Does this stress you out? We have someone to sell you for that.
Still the Romanian national team health plan. Chocolate Big Mac cigarettes. I think that's what you do. But I love it. I just always, this era especially, but so many eras, it always cracked me up that everything was sponsored by foods that if a gymnast even looked at any of these, their coaches would have put them in prison immediately during this era. And yet then they're like, you know what I love? A Reese's peanut butter cup. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. This is the first time you've ever seen one.
Oh, the 90s. This whole Gojin isn't comfortable being a leader.
Oh, I know. You talked about this a little bit before, but I was like, yeah, I loved all of that. Like, she's such a shrinking violet, you guys. She's so uncomfortable being a leader. She just doesn't want authority. She just doesn't want to tell anyone else what to do. And I'm like, this is a good dramatic irony moment. What a cute, funny thing to say.
She will take over the Romanian Federation not once but twice, and if anyone challenges her, do 1,000 interviews about how she's being wronged and everyone's against her. Where did she lose that? Just in case you're not up on all the current news, that's Gina Gojin, current vice president of Romanian Gymnastics. Again, I think.
Okay, we need to talk about Karina Ungurianu's floor music that starts out techno, and then there's just a solid 30 seconds of spaceship noises. And it's ridiculous, and I don't understand it. And I'm like, oh, don't show a college team this routine, because I think they might take it and be like, 30 seconds of spaceship noises. We are in, hard in. I'm ready.
But there aren't like 700 cuts.
No, I mean it's a one cut spaceship. Like that spaceship is attacking for a long time. It's got to shoot a lot of lasers at that base.
Grew up to be a DJ? No, that's Marinescu.
That's Marinescu.
No.
Theodora grew up to coach Sabrina Vega, right?
Oh, no, that's not Karina. That's OG Ungurianu.
Oh, that's right. Karina. Yes. That's not Karina.
Yes, that's
the
second place to Nadia Ungurianu.
Theodora. Yeah.
Theodora. Yes, exactly. Chenmi falling on a tuck jump.
Oh, that was a good one. I loved it. Oh, yes. Knows how to bring it. Does all of the skills and then just does a tuck jump full to knee. Good cover. I mean, solid. Pretend that was choreography, but it was a good, you fell on a tuck jump. That was fun.
I appreciate this because no one appreciates how hard a full twisting jump on beam is, which is why you never ever seen them, because they are so hard. A half you can
This was on the floor.
Oh, on floor.
Oh yeah, this was on floor. That's why it was.
This? Wait,
because she covered it like an actress.
That's why. Oh my god. Okay, Maloney almost falling on a shaposh skill variation.
Yeah,
like this is her whole thing.
Maloney's Maloney.
Her Maloney, known for this. This is her skill, named after her. Like I could just see as she was swinging like. Her in her mind mentally tattooing never again on her forehead, like this doesn't happen. I was also very I was confused about, there is a documentary that exists about this quad, and it has the whole saga of Kristen Maloney's shin never healing, and so eventually they had to put a rod in her leg, and then she was K-Rod for a long time, and then she ended up having 4 different surgeries, and then in one of those surgeries she got a blood infection and had sepsis, and just like all the horrible things that can come and are very scary from maybe you should just rest and not do things on your leg so it will heal, or there's another problem. Because they're big on that at Parkettes. They're big on rest.
I think it was the 99 one where when she was, every time she landed, it was just like, I feel the pain vicariously watching this landing in your leg.
Yeah. Ugh, so gnarly. Anyway, I just felt like, she will spend so much time on bars in the future after
Yeah.
many surgeries. But
We had some
yeah,
great, just in general, time capsule moments that are a fascinating snapshot of a time. Like Elfie was talking about how everyone complains, like, oh, the bars are too far apart now, so we can't do anything interesting. Which is funny to me because I think of like moving the bars far apart is what allowed people to do more interesting things on
yep.
bars because then there was the freedom to like releases and swing and you weren't just going to hit your feet on everything all the time if you tried to do anything. So it's interesting how always, the change is negative at first because now it's different and we can't do anything, and now you look at it in retrospect and you're like, what?
In
they
bar
you
gangers,
you couldn't do things that were
a
interesting
hard
because the bars
lodge.
were far apart. Yeah.
Yep.
We also
Oh,
got
the old
Elfie
time
just
skill.
saying, yeah, Elfie saying an old time skill. She's doing an old time skill, an aerial front walkover, which made me laugh because I was like, Donatella, look, Donatella, a front aerial is an old time skill in 1997, not the peak of routine composition that everyone needs to do in every single routine because it's a D and they could get connection bonus from it. I would like to
Donat
mail that to Donatella Saki.
Donatella Sachi, the current women's technical committee head who makes the rules, and during this era, it was Jackie Fay or Phi,
Jackie Fine, yeah.
Jackie Phi, who learned German to hold that position because it used to be the East Germans ran it and everything was in German, so she had to learn it, and was an American, and we will get to her as a main character later.
Very much a main character, at
Yep.
least in my mind. But it's also really interesting because we had here front aerial, an old time skill that now continues in 2025 to be compulsory in every beam routine. But then on floor, we have like Tim being wowed by a front layout double fall.
Because this
And
was
it's
still
interesting that the change of now we're like, she's only doing a front layout double full. Like she's not even Simone and doing a triple double, and how much floor has changed in that regard. And then beam is kind of like, we saw more difficult skills in 1997 than we do now.
mm-hmm.
Or the late 90s, like Olaru doing backhand spring back tuck full, just like, and like as NBC is like, these routines are really boring. Boo!
Right.
Stop doing it.
I loved all the variations of fulls that we have, and of course there are fulls now, but just like there was more creative all over the place, different kinds of skills on beam, I think, during this time. And also it was like just the early 90s that women's front tumbling came back, because there was a whole era where they just stopped front tumbling because they were like, it hurts your back too much, and then they were like, oh, the floor is good enough, and so then front tumbling became, but this was a whole time of the resurgence of front tumbling. And then of course we had, I'm like, how is that exciting when you have double fronts, a bounder double front in this? So
Always exciting.
the for me, the everyone has the elite dead eyes on floor. Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Moceanu tried not to have them for a second in this, but every team had them. Like it was giving like, they torture me when I leave here. And then I was like, oh yeah, wait, Olaru's here. And she wrote her autobiography in 2016, which is called The Price of Gold, Uncomfortable Sincerity. Like, yeah, you don't want to know the truth, but I'm going to show it to you. Here it is. And she talked about how the Romanian team was hit and beaten by their coaches during training, which definitely doesn't happen now. Oh, wait, that's right. We just had a video in the news in 2025 of a coach doing just that, of one of their top athletes. But aside from that, I loved the gym macro passes. I love the gym macro
Oh,
passes.
do you? You've never mentioned that before.
I want to mention them over and over and over.
Yeah.
So pretty. Just like a stag jump into a bounder, into another leap, or it's like a sandwich of, if you don't know gym macro because you weren't alive during this time, it is a sandwich of either gymnastics and dance or dance and gymnastics. So you do like three things, you just connect, or you could do, the one that was always really good was a switch, like round off, or switch bounder into something, or switch round off, and then in a stag ring. I love that one too. Anywho, what else for you?
Okay. I need to talk about some of the like WTF 1997 issues. Like the whole thing with Atler and her age and worlds. So the deal was Vanessa Atler was almost age eligible for Atlanta, but wasn't. She was like 1 year off. But then that was when they changed the age of senior gymnasts. So then she was too young to compete at 97 Worlds. And then in 1998, they didn't have Worlds because they were doing the alternate year thing. So then she was just like a month too young for the Atlanta Olympics, but then wasn't actually a senior at Worlds until 1999. It was a very strange time where she was just kind of like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Because it was weird because Moceanu's here and you're like, wait, wasn't she like 13 and a half or 14
she was,
at the Olympics?
Or if you watched
her
floor routine and didn't know, you thought she was 6 because they thought it would be cool to have her act like she was 6.
Oh my God, those floor routines. But then someone is like not almost 6, they're 15 and then they can't compete. It's very, very weird. We had a question about vault that we can discuss here.
Vault in this quad was so dumb. Like
Tell me your thoughts.
It's that it was so dumb because why at this point was the Yurchenko double full not a 10-0 start on vault? It seems so weird that it wasn't, and it's like who was doing more than that? One person, Simona Amanar and the Amanar.
Yep.
Protonova 1999 doing her double front, but like who was doing more difficult than that? Basically no one was doing anything more. So I didn't get the downgrade of the double full to a 9.9 star value, especially when the entire US team is doing like Yurchenko layout halves.
Yeah.
That's another issue. I'm like, oh, whoa. It was not that many years between like Yurchenko layout half is the best we have on vault to the United States of Amanar. Like how quickly that changed.
Yeah, that's true. Although this was also supposed to be, I feel like they weren't supposed to be layout halves. They were supposed to be
Arabians.
Yeah, they were supposed to be front. Yeah, Arabians.
Which
so
they were. We just like
turn.
the current code does not differentiate between.
Right, that's the thing. And it is like I think way harder to do it like that. So you would, Casey had a question.
Like the half turn to the front layout is I think much more aesthetically pleasing.
So Casey had this question about the Yurchenko double. Would we have downgraded that vault in 97 and 2000 because only 2 gymnasts in a 96 vault final? Most doing the 1.5, even 2000 most gymnasts were doing it. With gymnastics, I'm better off keeping the double as a 10 value for the quad, and you agree with us?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think it would make sense.
Speaking of which, I want to go back to vault, and we had the Romanian who would do the Amanar for the first time in competition because obviously Yurchenko or someone was doing these and she was doing triples and double backs in the 80s.
Not even Natalia Yurchenko would have imagined doing this vault.
So we have breaking news, speaking of Gina Gojin of Romania, that Uncle Tim broke this news, the story, that Gina Gojin's birth certificate said 1978, but her passport said 1977. So we know from many athletes, including Silvash, that the Romanians were falsifying dates to compete. This is established fact. They have never been punished for it. Only the Asian countries have been punished for this, as far as we know. And this is yet another person who's, it wasn't her fault at the time, but this is the whole age thing that they changed the dates for. Here we have another case of it because I don't think that has ever been, even though we know that was going on during that era, I don't think we ever have had proof of that yet, at least in the translated US space. So gymnastics-history.com put a link to that in the Uncle Tim's on a roll. He is putting that PhD to good use. So gymnastics-history.com, lots of new stuff. What was giving you the ick watching this?
Oh God, how much time do we have? I mean, that could be the whole giving you the ick while watching the 1997 International Team Championships could be its own podcast. But okay, the Moceanu Fluff, which I talked about the fun part at the beginning, but like most of it is deeply uncomfortable in retrospect, but was also deeply uncomfortable at the time, where she's talking about her dad sinking all that money in that gym. There are just so many alarm bells, like how uncomfortable she is talking about it even then. And this is 97, this is pre-emancipation from the parents, but you can just like see how weird it is for her to talk about and how she's trying to sell it, but also kind of very uncomfortable about it. And it's just like, yuck, 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 yuck. That's all I could think when I was watching it. It was just like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah, and so we know that Moceanu had, she talks about like, yeah, I financialized this, I think is what she said, which is another thing that you can see that she's so uncomfortable talking about this. But her parents basically stole all of her money. She was left with absolutely nothing, and they spent it on this failed gym. And they also, she said, oh, the next thing is we're going to build a church. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is like she's talking about it's her dad who's behind all of this stuff. And this is just 1 year from the time where she will have her new Romanian coach, and then her dad will have to try to hire a hitman to have her coach assassinated. This is part of like what's so like we know that now that all of this happened and she would go on to get emancipated and all of that. But the watching it, it's even more like how bad this is going to get with her parents using her is so sad. And I feel like she is always there's so many tales of this happening in Hollywood and with child actors over the years. And I'm always like, why don't athletes in sports have the same rules that like California has for like child actors? Like this needs to also be a rule. So yes.
But
also,
just generally the talk about Moceanu, like her routines where, okay, this is the spring of 1997. She did the Olympics. She went on tour. She's just coming back to kind of elite competition, is not at full strength. And I felt like there was no context given for why it's totally normal that she would like fall on beam or not have her full composition ready. Like most gymnasts are not back this quickly after super successful gold medal, I'm the star and everyone wants to give me attention experiences like Moceanu had. And they were like, the commentary about it was just like, well, I guess she sucks now. I guess she's bad. Sorry, she's bad now. Yeah. And it's like, she's just coming back. Like, Marta had nicer things to say about her routine than the commentators on the meet. Marta was like, good progress, you're just coming back kind of thing. It's like a normal thing to say. And I was like, okay, you're being more of a harpy than Marta. Like, think about that behavior for a moment.
It was shocking. Like, Marta came across as so nice in this. So she didn't do any of the pinchy neck things. She said only nice things. Like, she wasn't mic'd up the whole time. And I was just like, wow. This is because Marta and Bella were still, well, Bella, he was jumping around and making gesturing. Well,
he was Bella on camera. So he was, in the performance mode.
Okay, what else did you notice about the coaches? Because the coaches being mic'd up is something I actually liked, but
in theory, I like it. I like it because it's very revealing. You get a lot of information from it. I think it's a terrible idea, especially in this era. I think it would probably go better now. But the things like when Atler vaulted that excellent Yurchenko double full, and she gets on the podium, she hugs Steve Rybacki, who was coaching her at that point, and then all of the other male coaches go up to Steve and are like, great job, Steve. Good one. Nice work, high-fiving him, and Atler just walks away with no one talking to her. I'm like, that made me so mad. I was like, she's the one who did it. He didn't do it.
Also,
she did it.
Speaking of Atler, she has now made peace with the Rybackis. She is in touch with them again. They did a clinic together. So it's always nice to see when people can come full circle to a happiness. And I'm glad to see that. Also, did you catch what Tom Forrester, who would go on to briefly and disastrously be the head coach-ish for the U.S. women's team in the Tokyo quad, what he said to Kulikowski after her beam routine or bar routine?
It did not make an impression, if I did.
He said to her, she did a great routine, and then he's like, "You couldn't stick the landing? Oh, good job, good job." And then like hugs her, and I was like, "What?
Oh,
You're a dick."
I know. I do remember that. I will say it's very clear to me that that was sarcastic. That she
Right,
did a
which
great
is
routine, and she was like, "Good job," and you couldn't stick the land. Like it's just a sense of
no,
humor.
no, no. You do not do that to children. I know these are teenagers. They are young adults, but you do not. One of the number one thing, like I hear you, and obviously, like we're sarcastic with each other. We're fucking grown-ups. But like the number one rule of coaching is you don't ever use sarcasm in coaching. And it reminded me, like, it's just the last thing you want to hear when you've done a
Right.
great job is someone saying shit like that. And I know he was sarcastic, but I'm also like so over his sarcasm because we had to listen to it for 4 years and he talked out of his ass and he could not give a straight answer ever. And I was like, oh my God, it just must have been a nightmare to be, that's up to her, of course, to say. But for me, I was like, oh my God, this is the worst kind of coaching. Two things can be true at once. A good technician can also, say the wrong thing. Okay, 1998, where there were no worlds.
Ugh, God.
We had
Yeah.
like 2 worlds in 96 and then no worlds in 98. Wasn't that where we had Puerto Rico, or is that 92?
Yeah, in 96.
Yeah,
there was
96.
the Olympic year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, 98, fascinating. The iconic moment for me of the 1998 International Team Championship was when Octavian Bellu got in trouble for talking to that judge. And she was like, he went over, like Olaru's score came up on the floor,
yes.
and he went over to the judge, and she was like, "Excuse me, you are not permitted to talk to me. You have to talk to Jackie Fye, who was there and was head of the women's technical committee." And then he said that he was too scared to talk to Jackie, which correct. And that's like not really knowing like who Jackie Fye was. I was like, I think I might be obsessed with her. Like some Octavian Bellu is too afraid to talk to you. You might be my hero. I might love you. I mean, I do think, like, not really knowing if you had to rank all the presidents of the women's technical committee, like Jackie Fye is gold medal. There have ever been, I'm
gold medal of striking
best,
fear into the hearts of men.
I think, I mean, like, probably, but like best would be like best quality head of the women's technical committee.
I don't know. I have to go back, and I mean, I like this code a lot. So
I mean, I don't love. There are some things I really don't love, like about this code, but there's true about every code.
What was so funny about this is the second time he talked directly to a judge, and he knows very well. No one is allowed to talk to the judges. 100%. Like you can be like, "Where's the head table?" or what, that kind of thing. But that was that was such a show. It was such a I'm fun and jovial. But I did love when he went to the head table and he's talking to the Romanian person at the head table, and Jackie Fay just stone faced with her big hair looked down at him like, "Talk to me and I will crush you."
That's why she's my favorite. Yeah, it's probably just that hair,
as a character,
grim, stone faced. I'm in.
I also thought about how things have changed, at least on the women's side, and it also always depends on who the technical committee head is. But like I have gone up to Donatella and just been like, an athlete just asked me this and I don't know, can I direct you to that person and that coach? And she has been like, "Of course, who is it? Let me talk to them." Like, so approachable, so kind. Like, there is no I am above everyone else. And maybe it's very different in their meetings, but I don't see that when we watch the FIG stuff. It's just, I don't see that. You can see her regularly, like, talking to people I'm not saying anyone is perfect. I'm not vouching for anyone, but I'm just saying it's
Jessica's
a very
taking
different
a big
mood.
stand about the 2024 floor final right now.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, I think it's always depends on who's in charge. But
so you're saying my favorite is mostly based on how scary I think they are. And that's
I mean,
probably a
you
problem.
pick your favorite people by who would make the best, like, Wicked Witch in a musical,
I mean, absolutely.
Broadway show. Right.
Oh, there at one point in one of these meets, there is a woman sitting with the Romanian team dressed entirely in orange with huge hair and glasses and frowning, and I was like, she's the star. I don't know who she is, but I don't know. She may be a villain, but she's the star. We also
Yes.
had, of course, in 1998, an entire Fluff piece about Vanessa Atler sucking on bars, which must have been great for her confidence. I
This
do,
made me
even
so
through,
pissed.
it's so awful. And it's just like, oh, hello, Vanessa. Why do you suck so bad? It's on the level of like, oh, why don't we call you Shannon? Why are you so bored? Why don't we call you just Shannon? Why are you so boring, Shannon? Be better. It's terrible. The thing I like about it is that you can like hear in Vanessa's responses, even then, where she's kind of like laughing at the end of every answer, where she's like, you guys, I know this is ridiculous. Like she's signaling like this is so dumb. Like her eyes, her tone, everything is like, this is so dumb, you guys. I know it. I know this now. Everything that's happening here is so dumb.
This is one of the things that really stuck out to me, which I'm like, oh, this is one of the things I so appreciate about the new NBC team. Like, there's many things that I don't agree with. I would do differently than that NBC does now, but they would never do this now. Never, ever, ever. If they were going to talk about bars, they would talk to her coaches. They would ask her, like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? Like, they go through these things. Well, how do you want us to talk about this? How should we frame this? Like, it's such a different conversation that puts the athlete first now. And it's not perfect, but I love that they would never do this. They're like, what are you most worried about in competition? Okay, can we do a whole 30 minutes where we just ask you about that right before the meet? No, right before the meet. Like on podium training day? Is that, oh, you're not doing your online blog, you're not discussing this or thinking about it at all. Let's just sit you down in front of a camera and talk about it. Yeah. So what was your favorite quote from this?
Well, it was another like Elfie was in on Chinese bars during this meet, and it, like
As everyone should be.
right, correct, reaffirming kind of what she was saying before, paraphrasing the Chinese coaches and saying, if there's no creation, no invention, there's no meaning, no value to the routine. And I was like, that should be, those books that have like a quote at the beginning. That should be a quote in the front of the code of points. Like there should just be a title page and then that quote, and that should define the entire rest of the code. I'm like, yeah.
Yes. I think I'm gonna put that on our spreadsheet of t-shirt ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's a little
so
long.
much.
I mean, it's a little long for a t-shirt.
Yeah, but that's okay. I can fit anything, as
okay,
we know.
Good. Just a full essay. But I have to talk about in our go to the opportunities for comedy section, because Ling Jie talking about how the Chinese team was excited to go to the US to get chocolate and hair clips is the like highlight of the entire competition. I was like, you're my favorite. Tell us more. Say more.
I also love that they said she was like a little worried about the youngest team member watching WWE first when they got there. And I was like,
good one.
If that's the worst thing you see on the cable direct TV in a hotel room in the 90s, you've got off very lucky. All I could think was, oh my God, the things that they could get into.
Meaning the things that Jessica would have gotten into.
I would have been like, what's this? Okay. Christy Powell, what was the thing about her boyfriend? There's hope for anyone?
Christy Powell meeting her boyfriend at TGI Fridays. I don't know why we were given that information. It's kind of probably very invasive, but it just made a huge impression. They were like, Christy Powell, and she's met her boyfriend at TGI Fridays. And then Troutwig makes some joke like, there's hope for everyone. And I'm like, she's like 5. She's a teenager. Like, just calm down.
Are you saying that because you're still alone because you're so bitter and hate this sport so much, Al Troutwig? Oh, we understand.
Yes, but that is one of those things I'm like, Moceanu fed that mask to that snake. Christy Powell met her boyfriend at TGI Fridays. That's all. That's what I know about gymnastics. Those are my two things.
My opportunity for comedy was Onel stepping out of bounds pre-tumbling pass, and she didn't actually step out of bounds. She just scooted herself into the corner in a way that her heel went out of bounds when she was preparing for her tumbling pass, just standing there. And I was like, oh yeah, this is probably because she can't feel her ankle at all because they shot her up with something. Because I think this is still the era of when you could get shots you could get like a Toradol shot before you do floor, which I'm sure all the teams do. In fact, we know that all the teams did this because we have all the evidence of that that the US was doing that everybody was doing that at that time. But I was just like, oh, this is so relatable. You're doing a great routine, and
Yeah.
then you're like, oh wait,
And-
I did this dance and my foot is out of bounds. Never forget that Oklahoma routine. Oh, that
And all we
finished.
get in the commentary is we talked to Octavian Bellu and he says she's a garbage and will never make another team and he hates her and he doesn't know why she came here. And then she steps out of bounds and they're like, see, we told you. Basically, the entire sentiment of all of these routines is we talked to your coaches at podium training and found out everything that's wrong with you. They told us everything that's wrong with you, and now that's what we're gonna talk about during your routine.
We're gonna repeat it to the
We're gonna
whole
repeat
public.
it as fact. Here are all of your problems.
Yeah, you're welcome. What were
Also
your
yeah?
What the hell? 1998
What the hell 1998?
moments.
Oh, what the hell 1998? Why is every floor routine a sock hop like you talked about before? We're in the 1950s and we're blaring horns and we're in a sock hop every single time. What is this?
I was like,
good.
This worked for Moceanu in 96, so now you all have to do it. Yeah, she was 14. She was like 12 when she got that routine. Come on. And then you have China who's using like great music and everyone has something different. And like, you know, they had their dance choreography had not quite caught up to the actual music yet. But at least
I felt like it varied from athlete to athlete. There were some good ones. Ling Jie, again, who was the star of the entire quad. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of like, I'm gonna kind of flick my wrist to this horn, and I'm like, we don't need to do this. And it's interesting to me. I think what's interesting is that I'm surprised there wasn't still more like, we need to do violin music to be like the Soviets who score very well. So it's not only just like kind of auditorially annoying, it is surprising to me there wasn't more like, you know what the international look is and the judges like is this violin Soviet pretty, where you act like your artistry because you're using certain music and putting your foot in a certain way, but actually you can't dance at all.
I do who knew that you were longing for space lasers? This is Spencer. Yeah, exactly. But also, I wonder if they were like, oh, the age of the technical committee or the age of the judges is they are the age. So this is the 90s. So would they have been teenagers or kids during the 50s? So they will love this? Does that timeline? Sometimes I wonder if there's pandering to the judges in that way. Like, oh, they have an emotional connection to this music. And so we're going to use it. Or if they were like, oh my God, they're teenagers. Quick, try to make them look like children because that's the only way you can win. What about Atler's beam score?
I'm glad you brought that up because, oh my God, this, like, we scored this routine because it was just like Atler goes on beam. She has a big wobble and then another time has like a full beam grab to keep herself on and still scores a 9.55. And I was like, oh, Jessica and I scored this routine. We were just like, you know who we love? Vanessa Atler. She should get all of the scores all the time.
Yeah, that score was freaking insane and absolutely
I don't even
not
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like, it's annoying because then you're like, it makes you think Octavian Bellu has a point, and it's like, I never want to think Octavian Bellu has a point. Like, how dare you make me think that?
Ever. That's the worst. Yeah,
the worst.
Gymnastics highlights.
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned Ling Jie, and that's the only thing I could think of because it's perfect every time, everything. Rolfova, full twisting, swing down mount.
As a mount,
which is the Savdaridu. So giving credit to Vasiliki Savdaridu, innovator from Greece. But this was gorgeous. Back handspring and Nodi series. That then all we got was like so disappointing because she didn't connect it into her aerial. And I'm like, can we just enjoy that she did a back handspring and Nodi series? And then on bars, doing all the L grip, like from 1997 to 1999, gold medal, #1 all-star Ling Jie of these.
Everything she did was absolutely amazing and beautiful. That is the thing, like, so many times, especially China, would do something insane and so hard, and they wouldn't acknowledge it at all. And I was like, oh, were they? But then I wonder if, like, they were given instructions, like, remember, we're still basically in the Cold War. So we hate everything. Like, all the audience cares about is if we're gonna win the nuclear war. So make sure
I
to
feel
shit
like
on these kids' gymnastics.
at a certain point that Tim couldn't contain, if that was the instruction, he was just like, I have to talk about how much I love this routine. Like, this is so much better than everyone else, and we have to talk about it.
What I loved about this routine is it's so good. It's so spectacular. And Tim Daggett did say she's going to be an Olympic champion, or could be an Olympic champion on beam. It's like, this is one time that Tim Daggett and Alfie Schlegel kept talking over each other because they were both so excited about this routine, but also had very different things to say. Like, Tim was very positive about it. And she was going to connect that back handspring immediate Anodi into a front aerial, and nobody made it at this meet. But my God, that's such a cool series. And doing an Anodi out, just doing a connected Anodi is so hard, and we so rarely see it. It's exciting.
It's magical.
Yes.
She was the winner. Atler was the winner just for everything. Her amplitude, even when she invented the concept of not caring if someone falls, because their gymnastics is so enjoyable to watch. Everything was great.
What stuck out to me watching the second meet in a row, so I watched them 97, 98, 99, and I was like, oh gosh, she's just so, like, Kristen Maloney, I was like, oh, she's an absolute freak. Like, she is a kinetic freak. Like, she can do everything. She's just an absolute acrobat, and would go on to perform with Cirque du Soleil. But Vanessa Atler, everything she did was just so far beyond, and like so easy for her. Like, she was just, and yeah, like Ling Jie and Atler were in a different category than everybody else for me at this meet. Olaru's triple.
Oh, so her triple full on floor was so good. Yeah.
So good. And like, every landing, she just had no reaction. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, she must be, you know how I told you I saw those videos of Milosevic. There was some science channel did like the art of athletes, and Milosevic just working on a quad. And I was like, oh yeah, because I bet a triple's easy for her, and she does like quads at home. But also because she had no reaction to anything, and we know why, because her book came out later. But Sierra Sapinar, I love her gymnastics.
Yeah.
Love her. Like, I remember loving her, and she went to Georgia, I think. Loved her gymnastics so much. Her form was perfect. And she's also from Sebastopol, and no one's from Sebastopol. No one does gymnastics from Sebastopol. No one knows where Sebastopol is unless you live in like the middle of California. Like, have you ever heard of Sebastopol?
Yes, but I would imagine most people have not.
Yes. It is just like, there's nothing there, or especially during this area, there's nothing in Sebastopol. Straight legs on her Rafulva. Straight legs on a Rafulva. There's like 3 people in the world that have straight legs on that full twisting Corbett scale. Just everything she did was absolutely gorgeous. Presecan's
so we
layout.
never see Corbett Full's Rafova, really. We see them much less frequently now, I would say. Are you okay with that? Or do you feel like, because everyone was doing them in these meets, like it was everyone, and now it's almost no one.
I feel like because most people are going to get killed on the form in it. And yeah, I just think there's so many other things that are easier to do than that. Where here, it's like people were being rewarded for doing this difficulty, and the routines were so fun. There were so many creative things in these routines that I loved. Like Barescu's beam, this little thing that she does in her routine. It was like one of those rolly things where she just does she rolls into like a side shoulder stand and then rolls again, and it's just so pretty, and it's just something cool to see. And I love that there were so many. You had Rafulva, and you had these little creative moments in the routines, which I loved.
And it's one of the other things that was interesting to me was, how much am I trying to unpack narratives that I was given versus I actually think that? Because so much of like the commentary about Romania's beam routines was, they're cookie cutter routines, they're not very interesting, they're boring. And I'm kind of trying to think like how much, because that is my first thought of Romanian beam in this era too. How much of that is because that was actually like my own impression, and how much of that is look, determined by someone else saying it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, Romanian beam, really boring during this period. Because they were talking about Claudia Presecan's beam and basically saying that while she did a wonderful layout to 2 feet. And I'm like, this action does not agree with the topic sentence. Like what I'm hearing is not what I'm seeing. And so it is that interesting thing to try to say, like, did I actually think that, or was I just told that? And then thought it.
I love it when every once in a while, Spencer, you whip out your, like I think about when you talk about stuff like this and you're analyzing the commentators, how you used to be the person that read the, like, I'm trying to get into this school, essays for the entrance exam essays for college.
Yeah.
And every once in a while you say stuff like this, and I was like, oh, don't mess up your thesis statement. Spencer will come for you in your analysis of this.
I have so many things to say about college admissions essays. I have many, many thoughts.
Oh, you guys, we should do on behind the scenes this
week. Do a whole behind the scenes. Like, okay, here's what Spencer says you should do, and here's what you shouldn't do.
You should never do.
Never write about playing basketball, first of all. Never start with the sweat dripped down my neck. I knew what I had to do. I had 1 second on the clock. I took the shot. Swoosh. It was the best moment of my life. Don't do it.
No. Has someone actually started with that? That's
all
the best
the
time.
Oh, no. That's my impression of it. But that's like all the time. Don't do it.
Oof. Okay. A Rescue 13 was actually good on bars.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the thing. They were like, oh yeah, she's only been a diva for a couple months. And I was like, oh, was it Bellu and Batang, the head coach at the time in Romania, who ruined everyone on bars? She was good. I was like, oh, send her back to wherever she came from so she can stay good on bars. That was a good bar routine. Like, yeah, she did her handstands, but other than that, like, her swing was good. It was efficient.
Much then.
I know, but still,
you could like kip and not go to handstand.
I know. Oh, the glory.
Or do you miss it? Do you miss your days?
I do. I just feel like the handstands, it breaks the rhythm. I like stuff where you can just swing and stay horizontal and do something. Do a little flourish. Do a little pirouette. That's good times. I mean, you can do that now, but they're just worse than nothing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What did you think of the whole like Itzarescu beam or age controversy? That like, was that real or was that something they were trying to make happen? So basically, Isarescu at one point was on the junior team, and then Romania had like the typical 1800 injuries that you're like, is everything okay? And the answer was no. And then they promoted her to the senior team, and it was like, they're breaking the rules because she should be a junior. Do you feel like that was just like trying to make a Cold War controversy, or were you like, wait, why was this allowed?
I think that the constant refrain of NBC commentators at this time was everyone else is cheating except for us. And so anytime they got to bring up someone's age or if they looked younger, then they would harp on it without saying it. So, and of course there was tons of age cheating. And there's a history of it, we just talked about the Romanians. But I think that's what that was about. But also I was like, well, it's just a friendly meet. Who cares if she's 13? Yeah. You used to be able to compete at 13 at this like a year ago. So I don't think it's a very big deal. So yeah.
Let's also talk about some of the things. I mean, that's been the theme of the whole thing, but in particular where things got dark.
Ooh, I forgot about this.
I did not remember this at either. So basically, we get the introduction of the Romanian team at the beginning of 1998, and they were at a training camp in Venezuela, or were in Venezuela doing gymnastics for some reason, and a member of the delegation, the Romanian delegation, is shot and paralyzed while they were in Venezuela, and then they were like, oh, well, off to the International Team Championships. What you gonna do about it? And I was like, wait, what?
Yes, they said he was like robbed. And then later they said, oh, the team saw him get shot in front of the bus. And I was just like, oh my God. And then like, who stayed with him? Is he okay?
Yeah, I was like, wait, we need a lot more information about this. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, and then this guy got shot. On to the next meet.
Which is
And
shocking that
Romanians
it
were like,
happened
you
in.
see what we deal with in training? This is just like, I don't know, put it in the file with the rest of the traumatic things that have happened to us. Deal with that later. Put it in the filing cabinet.
Also shocking that it happened in Venezuela and not when they came to the U.S. Also, the fact that later when Troutwig brought this up again, when they supposedly the Romanian team was not doing well, which they were doing fine, they just had to go to bars. He said, well, apparently, maybe it's too much. They've had all these injuries and they've had this, and then they had, the guys just shot in front of them. And then, sometimes teams can't handle, what did he call it exactly? They can't handle it's something about like it's too much for them. It's a distraction. Like they can't handle those distractions. And I was like, the fuck, dude? Distractions? We're talking about grief and trauma is what those things would be. Distractions? Yeah, it was just another reason that the darkness consumes Al Troutwig, and you can hear it in everything he says. Oh, and then there was the more grim prologue, the foreshadowing here.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Song Lan is here at this meet competing for China, and this is a few months, like not long before the Goodwill Games, where she would be paralyzed when competing on vault. And there's a lot of so it's kind of eerie to watch her competition here and watch her gymnastics in this meet anyway, knowing what was about to happen in a few months. And also when you hear her, or it's translated, that she talks about tweaking her back or feeling her back on her vault. And yeah, it's very eerie and unsettling to watch.
And you can see her grab her back, and it's her upper back too. It's not her lower back. Like so many of the Romanians landed and then they grabbed their lower back. And of course, no one acknowledges, are you okay? Do you know? We don't discuss it at the meet. But yeah, and the Americans too. I was stretching their back. But yeah, that it was her upper back. Normally it's always the lower back on those landings. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, 1999.
Yes. The year when Vanessa Atler is like, you can't do a fluff piece about me sucking on bars if I don't compete. Because she was in the stands. She had hurt herself just before. So she was like, you can't talk about my bars routine because I'm not going to do one. Deal with that.
Yep. I do want to talk about one other brilliant moment from Atler that we got earlier in this quad, which is her bounder on floor, which is her bounder double front, which she went out of bounds. Who cares? Let her run out of the arena if she wants to. It's cowboyed here, but it's I love a bounder too. That's one of the other things we don't get enough of. Freaking bounder. So a bounder is a front handspring where you start on 2 feet and end on 2 feet. So, and it's just so think of it as a back handspring. You see a round up back handspring into a skill. It's just the opposite of that, doing it forward. And it just looks cool. And that's why I always loved it in a gym acro too. A bounder into a double stag sideways, and then front tuck out of it to your knee. This is the kind of stuff that we got in the 90s that was so great. And then we got Troutwig on the age.
Oh, okay. You want to go into Bai Chunyue from China, who is in this meet.
Is so good.
Is so good. And the only thing I remembered about it, I could have told you her height before rewatching this meet because they said it so much, and I could not have told you a single skill that she did. I just could have told you a close-up of her face and her height, and had no memory that her gymnastics is perfect and she is the star of this meet and is the best one.
Yeah. They just could not shut up about guessing her height. It wasn't even her actual height. They estimated that she was 3'8" or
that wasn't even
no. They said the best we can estimate, or we have guessed. And what I think is she was probably standing by vault, and they saw that when she's standing on the floor, not the mats, or by beam, that she was something that was not on the mat, so the actual height of it. That they're oh, she's just below the vault, so she must be, 3'8". That wasn't even, they didn't even know. And I just, that's the kind of stuff drives me nuts too, because then this is how I mean, they were just inferring that.
And then that becomes canon because you had this on VHS and you watched it
Right.
150 times because it was on free network TV and you didn't have to have cable, as Casey mentioned. So this was your one or two big exposures to gymnastics of the year. And so
Mm-hmm.
you were like, oh yeah, that time she was 3'8".
Yep. And then I'm also like, how there have been so many American gymnasts that have been so tiny, and then we find out after they finally retire that they're retiring because they had scoliosis so bad that when they finally have their surgery after they're done competing, that they're like a foot taller when they finally stretch their spine straight. Like literally, that's happened
Yeah.
multiple times in the U.S. So
Mackenzie Wofford, I think, talked about that.
yes,
Who was a gymnast
she's
and
like,
then was at Oklahoma and was like, oh, I did back surgery and I'm so tall now.
yes, she looks like a totally different person. Amanar, the fluff.
Oh, the Amanar fluff I love. This is the most I've ever loved Simona Amanar is this fluff piece and how she, similar to Vanessa Atler, is like, this is kind of dumb. I'll try to speak English for you, but this is pretty dumb. I absolutely love the shots. They're not original for this meet. I think they're from previous fluff beats pieces of the shopping trips where everyone else is shopping and she's standing there looking bored. And this is why I feel connected to Simona Amanar. I understand her in this moment. I feel that she is reflecting truth. I'm like, yes, I have also been in that situation where everyone is shopping and I am standing there looking bored because I think this is stupid.
They did recycle a lot of fluff in this.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we got repeated fingers in the finger paint in this one, the start of this one. And then we also got the Dracula's Castle, which is not actually
Yes,
Deva.
which is not original to 2000. It's used a lot in the 2000 Olympics fluff, but it's already an old shot by 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is one shot of the Soviet Union that's supposed to be Round Lake that's just kind of a rusty gate closing that they don't use here because Russia is not here, but they used it 150 times. It's just like, here's a rusty gate somewhere. That's probably Round Lake.
When they never showed the gate in front of the Karoli Ranch. Nope, we never got that gate, but just, the Soviets have a gate. The
and
Beckerman
it's rusty
fluff
to show like tarnished glory to demonstrate the fall of a once powerful empire. So
which is the opposite of Beckerman, who clearly was just fun and blonde and fun in New Jersey. And fun.
Yes, because Beckerman had a really good meet in 1999. So she's fun and carefree and unaffected. And then fast forward a year when she's falling and she's unfocused and her behavior is a problem. And it's almost like none of this is real. And it's just a narrative based on what you need at that moment. And it's not, none of it is like fact.
Yeah.
Or that if you have any measure of a personality, it must be immediately crushed and turned into what we would like it to be.
What were your highlights from this meet?
Well, we get to see Elise Ray on bars, which is always a treat. She's like the one where you're like the whole entire like 97, 98, you're just like, everyone's bars routine is kind of bad except Ling Jie. And then you see Elise Ray and you're like, this is magical. I love this routine. This is wonderful. We got to see Aaron Dooley do a double front off beam, which bring it back. I'm ready for it. Loved it. Yeah, there's this one had the best US gymnastics, I want to say. I think it was the US's best intrinsic gymnastics quality in 1999. So obviously they're not good enough and we have to bring Bella in to break everyone for the Sydney Olympics. But also the other thing, when watching these meets in general, I'm like, guys, the US was never going to beat Romania. They were so much better. Like, if you had any dreams that they were going to beat Russia or Romania at the 2000 Olympics, regardless of like how healthy everyone was or whether they weren't completely traumatized, nope, that was not going to happen.
Yep.
They're so much better, especially on vault. Anyway, then they were just like, Kristen Maloney, we're going to have you in a pool hitting a beach ball in your fluff piece because we just do that for everyone. That's girl having fun. So get in that pool and hit that beach ball.
Also, you know what Pennsylvania is known for? Beach balls. That's 100%.
Fun in the sun.
Yeah.
Let's go to Philly and have some sunny beach time.
Exactly. I did love some of we had Australia in this meet.
Yes.
And this was Australia's glory days, which were
Some of these beams are so lovely.
Oh my God. Honestly, like Melinda's beam where she just does I have to watch it to remember what she does here. But she does her switch to switch half loop. So she does a switch half, lands in the Shushinova position. So the switch Shushinova lands on the beam in front support and then does a back hip circle. Oh, this is what I live for.
And Katerina Furketic,
this.
we also saw on beam in this meet. Lovely execution, lovely lines. And then the whole thing is ruined because Peggy is mic'd up.
My God.
Okay, after bars, I was like, she was being so snippy and condescending about their bars routines. And I was like, I'm out. I can't anymore.
Yeah, I honestly, it was hard.
I would have been like, I will tell you where you could shove your dumbass scrunchie if you're gonna talk to everyone like that, Peggy.
I did appreciate the creativity on floor from most of the countries in this, and also from I can't remember who this is on floor from Australia. Just rolls on the floor sideways like a barrel roll into a backspin, full backspin into a neck kip up to a round off to a gym acro series.
Your dream. This is Jessica's. Like, this is what floor should be.
Yes, this is what floor should be. It should be all these creative acrobatic things and dance mixed together. And if you have a backspin to a neck kip to your knees to a round off to a split jump to another, oh my God, get out of here. All these little things connected that are so cool and fun. And like a little barrel roll on floor. We don't have enough of those. Just roll over on your side.
I will say I definitely would prefer to watch that than like switch leap to chasse to split leap 1.5 attempt.
Yes. And not even chasse to switch full or anything together. Now it's chasse to something to run around the floor to another thing. Oh, so boring. Yes, there were so many great, beautiful, creative, difficult gymnastics moments in this. So Casey asked us about bringing these meets back. So they said, do you think a meet like this could be brought back? If so, what are the countries best suited to compete? Note, the US, Romania, and China both had men's and women's junior and senior teams at these.
Well, first of all, obviously the answer is yes, it should, and yes, it could. And I would love it. I would love to bring back just like, this is the team, Clash of the Titans, best teams in the world. Here we go. Beginning of the year. Let's actually do it on podium with like an international panel of judges in front of a crowd. It would be great. Obviously, it needs to be the US hosting Italy, Japan, and Brazil.
Obviously.
That is the dream. That is the dream. Now, Italy might say, like, they have Jesolo, maybe. It could be kind of like a pack rims sort of approach where they tried to do like the European teams are all going to like the World Cups in Europe and DTB and Jesolo. So maybe they have those. So maybe you say like Japan, Brazil, Canada, Australia, South Korea would be fun.
South Korea would be so fun.
That would be great.
The British and the French we should have in there somewhere.
And I mean, whoever's available, I'll take it. It sounds great. But if you're saying like the European countries have a closer one, so we'll do like Pac Rims was just trying to be like the option for everyone else, but just to be a team competition, I think would be great.
You know who will pull this off now that we've mentioned it? It won't be the US with the new.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the US. It would just be
as long
nice
as we can watch it. Just put it on TV. I'm fine.
Yes. I would like it to be in driving distance. So that means
that one arena in
Anaheim. Yeah. Oh no, there's that one. Anaheim that hosted the 2003 Worlds. That is what would be very nice. I would like another Worlds there. There's a train that goes to it now, so you don't even have to drive and pay $50 for parking. Yeah, and then people can go to Disneyland or whatever. Okay, so anyway, but now you know who's going to do it.
Janelle's ready. The whole UCLA team going.
But Pagoo's going to do this now. The Pan American Union of Gymnastics, they're going to pull this off. Oh, Mexico would be great too. They're a super fun team.
Okay, yes. So what do you do then to make it feel, because it's in the spring, it sometimes is a little bit, things can feel like an afterthought on the calendar. So what do you do to make it a big deal without making it like a joke competition? or like an exhibition or a sideshow or like not actual competitive to the code gymnastics?
Well, the first thing is you could invite the top 3 teams that have finished in whatever worlds. Those were the top 3 teams. So the podium teams, that could be like, then you bill it up and you do it in the venue that they're going to have gymnastics in for the Olympics. So you bill it as like, these are our practice meets. So you want to come, you make it desirable. You want to come here and you want to actually compete in the same venue the Olympics are going to be in on podium. And then it's a trial.
Maybe on the same equipment.
Exactly. All of that stuff. And then also you pay them a shit ton of money.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Decorate the arena with dollar signs.
Yes. And you have to make sure like each athlete has to have their own bank account and the money goes directly into their own personal bank accounts and not to anyone else. That is the other thing. How you do it. And then you connect it to a NCAA meet. That's the night, like Friday night is an NCAA meet. And then the next day is the big elite meet. That would bring in lots of people. Yeah. Which, by the way, there is an FIG official who has been going to NCAA meets and studying them for like, how do we grow elite gymnastics like the NCAA has? So
a professional league, for instance.
Exactly. This is the kind of inside information you get if you listen to Behind the Scenes, which happens every Friday and is part of the thing that Club Gym Nerd members like Casey at any level. You get this. This is the base level. You get a whole extra episode every Friday where we answer your questions and also we chit chat about life and whatnot. And mostly I tell stories about things that I've done. And Spencer's like, oh my God, how could you do that? So thank you so much to our Club Gym Nerd member, Casey, for supporting us, for doing this great commission with so many details. And you commission can be on any topic at all, as long as it's tangentially gymnastics related. But you can also sponsor a membership for a member of the community if you want to. You can reach out to fact checker at editor@gymcastic.com to learn more about that, and we will match the donation. So remember, you can check out our store. We have lots of goodies. Like I am using my GymCastic mug. Also, the Balance, my year's coaching Simone Biles, is on sale now for under $5 on Amazon. You can get that. So check it out if you want to know all the things that happened from the coach's perspective from when Simone started gymnastics to winning her unprecedented 3 world championships in a row and then the Olympics. That's all in the book. We are having a live show. Live show is on December 14th. We're having a live show. This one's going to be virtual because that's the only way that we can make it work. But they're super fun. We play some games. There's some trivia. And then we do an interview. But you get to ask our special guest questions. Look for an email where you'll be able to buy those tickets directly there because Club Gym members get first dibs. And you can, also, of course, subscribe to our newsletter. So we make sure that you get that. Okay, so thank you so much to Casey for this commission. We love doing commissions. They're very fun. And until Friday on Behind the Scenes, well, we'll talk about what shenanigans we got up to over the Thanksgivings. We will see you Friday at noon Pacific or 8 GMT, I believe. So until then, remember to take off on gay, split on rights. Thanks for listening. See you on Friday.